When you walk through the garden, watch your back. Well, I beg you.
The Wire is an American television series that goes over different aspects of life that takes place in Baltimore, Maryland. Drug culture, it brings in the corruption within the police department. How the schools relate. How the young people are brought into the system, and it even goes to the point in season 5 to bring in the media and how the media is also a stepping stone for how everything is put together.
The Wire uses a theme song called "Way Down in the Hole," written by Tom Waits, and each season there's a different person singing this song. So in season 1 you will see like a gospel group singing the song, and they have like this strong, powerful but cold tone to them.
True.
And so it represents Avon Barksdale and his crew. And then in season 2 you'll hear the original version by Tom Waits, and he sounds drunken and sleazy, like that's his tone, and that represents corruption. And then in season 4 you hear these Baltimore teens singing this theme song, and that represents the school system. Okay, so when we watch The Wire, we notice connections between the streets and the police, and the streets and the education system. So we're going to give you some examples, our opinions, and we're also going to analyze stereotypes and masculinity, motherhood, and all that good stuff. So enjoy. So now that you watched The Wire, how do you feel about the way corner boys were portrayed?
In my personal opinion, starting with season 1, the corner boys were, what the real stereotype for thugs are. You got Barksdale's crew going against, Proposition Joe's crew, East and the West. A typical, neighborhood beef. But when you move into, season 4 that deals with the school system, the first couple of episodes start off with, 13-year-olds, 11-year-old, 12-year-old kids that, peeing in balloons and throwing them at, their competition. And it's not really like a drug competition yet though, but all this is preparing them for, what they're really gonna be in life. And, you have to really, sit down and watch the whole series to understand like how everything works and how it ties together. But at the same time, you have these young boys who don't really, have a guidance, and they end up falling in the hands of Marlo, who is the kingpin. And you got this dude who's flossing all this money. I mean, at one point he gave them all $200 a piece to go to school with. Cat come and give me $200 to go to school with. I'm gonna lean his way too. I know I can get it from him, but at the same time, you owe them like Michael did. You have to pay it back in a certain way for him. So, and that all ties into the school system. Like, how you feel about the school system?
Well, I feel like the school system I don't think that their intention was really to prepare these kids for a better future. However, there was a connection though that I saw, for instance, such as the math. Like you had Randy doing probabilities, and he took what he learned from class to the street and ended up making money. Like that's how he got his hustle.
Businessman.
And so it's like, yeah, these corner boys are seen as like these bad children who aren't up to any good. Like they're really, it's really their environment that's making them like that. But they took certain things from school and used it to their advantage.
Some sneaky business within The Wire is, in my personal opinion, what really stuck out to me was, the school system and how they would take the scores from, in what my days were called EOGs, but I don't really know what the scores were called there. But, they would take the scores from the test and, rate them in an inconvenient way just so the school system would look like, you know what I'm saying, it's making progress, when really, you know, these kids is reading at levels and, you know, adding at levels that are non-sufficient to where they're supposed to be. You got third graders who the scores will come back, you know, at grade level, but really, you know, at grade level means that they're like 2 grades behind. And they was taking that and making it seem like, you know, this is okay, this is better than, you know, what was the year before, anything like that. And I mean, that's just wrong. You know, you don't play with a child's education when you sit here and preach that education is the way for us to make it, you know. And also within the police department, it was corruption.
Yeah, there was a lot of sneaky business going on in the police department. You had Detective Hurt stealing cameras, and once that plan backfired on him, he's sitting here trying to make himself look good and coming up with all these lies after lies instead of just admitting that he stole a camera. You have the shady cop on the street that's patrolling in a car that says to protect and serve, but when Bubbles needed help, he didn't try to protect him. He just stole items out of Bubbles' basket and
Bubbles Depot.
Kept it moving. And then you have McNulty staging deaths to get money from Carcetti to go to the government to catch this so-called serial killer, when really you just wanted the money to help you catch Marlo.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, you know what I'm saying, it's just a real, like I said, it all ties into each other, you know, with the staging of the deaths, you know, that brings in the media and how crooked the media was. They was using that to, you know, boost. Like, the funding to the media, to that particular newspaper was getting cut hard. I mean, they was firing people left and right. And then all of a sudden, you know, this big story came up within the city, and they was the first person, you know, first to report on it. So, you know, whoever owned that company, you know, kept saying, push it, push the story, push the story. But at the same time, you know, McNulty was calling the main reporter and staging like he was the serial killer, like, you know, sending pictures to the reporter's phone of the deaths of the dead people or whatever. And just, you know, it was just it was a well put together plan, I must say. But at the same time, you know, it was just all dirty or whatever. And the reporter was lying, exaggerating truths and stuff. That's how everything started to blow up for McNulty. So he actually went to the reporter and said, it was me that was doing this. Stop lying, stop doing this. You're making it worse than what it is. And, you know, McNulty, he feels, at the end, you know, he feels guilty for what he's done or whatever. And he tells Officer Kima, but, you know, Kima being the good police that she is, you know, she goes to the black guy and tells him that what was going on, and then they go back and they fire Freeman and McNulty. So that's corruption within the police department and school systems.
Okay, well, Kevin, let's talk about the women and masculinity within The Wire.
Okay. You know, I feel like, you know, as far as masculinity goes, you know, this is one scene that sticks out to me. When, like I said previously, you know, Marlo sent his lieutenant over there to give all the corner boys $200 to go back to school with, claiming that he didn't want to see them go back to school looking balmy. And, you know, everyone embraced it. You know, it's if someone offers you money, take it. Everyone embraced it. But, you know, Michael, he stood up as a man. You know, he was like, no thank you, and walked off. So Marlo, being at the truck, walked over to Michael, and he said, he was like, what's wrong with you? My money too good for you or something? And, you know, with no words and no action, you know, Michael looked at him dead in his eyes, you know, almost like he looked directly into his soul. And, you know, Marlo, I guess he saw potential for a good street hustle, and he was like, we cool, shorty, we don't got no problems. And then another scene, you know, still revolving Michael, you know, is his mom's situation, which goes into motherhood. But before we speak on that, you know, his mom's a bad drug addict, and, you know, he takes up for his little brother, Bubs. And Bub's father comes home and, I don't want to say rape, but, you know, treats Bubs in a unlikely way. And you know, Michael, you know what I'm saying, he steps up to the plate. I mean, I wouldn't recommend the actions he took, but you know, and you know, had old boy done off, you know, killed off or whatever. And another incident of masculinity I can think of is Omar Little's character as a whole. You know, you got this street thug who robs. He makes his living off of robbing, you know, drug dealers. But it's a code behind everything he does, you know. And I was always taught as a man, you know, every man must have a code. So I was pretty shocked when he said that, you know, backing up my theory, my personal beliefs. So, you know, it's like he goes to church on Sundays, you know, there's no killing, no robbing on Sundays. He never put his gun to a citizen. But at the same time, you know, if you in the game, then you're not a citizen. If you're in the drug business, you're not a regular citizen. So I really like the way he conducted his business as a businessman. But at the same time, you know, he stood for what he believed in. That's the ultimate form of masculinity to me. So.
Okay, I agree. Well, according to Courtney Marshall in the Wire book, she says that there are 4 black female stereotypes, and you have the mammy, the matriarch, the welfare queen, and the whore. And so the mammy is asexual and she's devoted to white values, and so we see a mammy when we see Brianna, who is D'Angelo's mother. In season 1, we see her bringing her son lunch while he's at work, and so that was pretty different because you don't see a lot of black mothers doing things like that. And then you have the matriarch, who is like an aggressive woman who emasculates men, and we see that in Delonda, just from the way she talks to Naaman and how she handles business on the street. Like when Naaman can't handle something, she's gonna go down there to the corner and talk to Brody and get things straightened out. And then we have the welfare queen, when we see that in Michael's mom, who she gets like food stamps and all this government assistance, and she abuses it for her own personal needs. And then last we see the whore, but we really can't even call her a whore, but she's seen as a whore, and we see that in Donette, D'Angelo's girlfriend. In season 1, he brings his girlfriend to a dinner, and his uncle tells her, come on, twirl around, show me something, because she's a dancer. But that was kind of disrespectful. But when you're a female and you have like this nice body and you're just out there showing it, people are going to treat you as a whore. And so she was seen as the whore.
True.
So now that you understand The Wire, who do you feel the writer wanted you to align or oppose with?
I feel like, you know, honestly, my personal opinion that I'm entitled to, I feel like The Wire, the writers wanted you to align with the streets.
I agree.
Because, you know, that's just because, like, I'm not saying that because the show is pretty much based on the street life, but, you know, it's something about the way Avon carried himself and the way Marlo carried himself. You know, those are the 2 kingpins that you was like, when they got caught, you was like, no. But, you know, I remember one time, Lieutenant Daniels was like, you know, it's a good day for the police, like for the good guys. And I was like, they ain't want them to win. Dang, but he could have got away with this or whatever. So, you know, my personal opinion, I feel like they want you to align with the police and align with the streets and oppose with the police. But, you know, some people might beg to differ.
You know, I definitely agree, because this was the only show that showed the good and the bad side of the streets, and they showed the bad side in the police department, and you don't see that. And so by the writer showing me like the bad side of the police department, I just feel like I automatically want to align with the streets, because when you hear police department, you don't want to hear anything negative about the police department.
not supposed to protect and serve, you know.
Exactly. So overall, I think The Wire was a great series, and I definitely
I'm kind of hurt it's
am
not going to
rooting
be
for
a
the
season
streets.
5. Like season 6, it's not going to be a season 6, so it's kind of sad, but